one of those factors driving inflation, high in prices of food and energy. We will settle with energy for this conversation. The United Kingdom High Commission has estimated climate-smart investment potential in Nigeria, particularly in the renewable energy sector, is worth over $104 billion. Another area of potential in Nigeria. Since Nigeria is blessed with abundant renewable energy resources, such as hydroelectric, solar, wind, tidal, and biomass, well, there's a need to harness these resources. Can we have an area where we're not just talking about resources? Well, to join us for that conversation, joining us in the studio, we have Afolabi Akinrogunde, investment manager at All On Partnerships for Energy Access. He shares his thoughts on this. Good to speak to you, Afolabi. Good morning.
Pleasure to be here.
So, I mean, when we sit here in channels, television, have a lot of conversations, whether it's business, economy, you know, and even other areas, we talk about potentials, and sometimes it just breaks one's heart because we just keep hearing of potential that's not harnessed. Now, we have another potential in renewable energy, especially at this time. The world is talking about renewable energy, trying to wean themselves off Russian, you know, oil and gas and looking to clean energy. Unfortunately, we can't tap into that. We see oil is over $120 now. But from your perspective now, from your interaction, how much penetration of renewable energy do we have in Nigeria at this time?
At this time, it's very low, very, very low. I would wager much less than 4%. It's very low. It's growing. It was, I think I'd say it's probably more than doubled in the last 5 years. So there's a lot of growth. There are a lot of work, good work has been done by various agencies of the government, the REA, especially the NERC. Nigeria has some of the most progressive policies in terms of facilitating the growth of energy access, renewable energy in the developing world. Some countries actually come here, funnily, to actually come and learn and see how we do things. However, because the scope is so low, there's so much more that can be done.
What's stopping the growth?
The growth is, there's a lot of education that needs to be done. There's also quite a lot of integration that also needs to be done. A lot of agencies are doing different things. You need to have quite a bit of integration to ensure that coordination to ensure that some of these good ideas actually get passed down to the final user. For example, you find out that some agencies of government, like the Ministry of Finance, has a lot of policies which enable it cheaper to bring in solar components into the country. However, you have other entities like Customs, which also has a target from the president to make money. So you have people, so there's that need to actually integrate and coordinate and ensure that everybody is singing from the same song sheet, so to speak.
I guess this feed into what we hear of that it is very capital intensive. All of this feed into it. So if we really want to deal with the penetration and the issue of being capital intensive, we have to handle some of these things you have mentioned.
Yeah, we have to do that, and we also have to handle some of the microeconomic challenges. For example, you discover that the cost of until of course we start having the supply chain issues, well, with COVID, you find out that the cost of every component has dropped significantly. Panels has dropped more than 90% in the last 20 years, cost of panels. But you find out that
there's been more supply?
Yeah, because technology is improving, people are getting better at it, it's getting cheaper, it's getting faster, it's getting easier to
And there are more
made.
alternatives.
And there are more alternatives. But you're finding out that we're not able to benefit from these jobs because the Naira keeps losing value, for example. So you find out that, yes, even though it's 40% cheaper, a battery, a panel is 40% cheaper than it was in 2020 and 2017. But because your currency has also lost value, you're also not able to benefit from and tap into those price drops. So those are some of the challenges which the sector is going through.
Yeah, well, a wide range of it. Well, now the UK Commission is saying that the sector is worth over $104 billion. Where is this value? What part of it is it?
No, it has the potential to get there. We have a significant power poverty situation in Nigeria. For example, the average Nigerian gets 40 times less power than the average South African, and we are all in Africa, and South Africa has issues. The average Nigerian gets about 12 to 15 times less power than the average Ghanaian. Those two countries across across our border there. So to show you that where we are is actually...
And I've read a couple of places that we do sell energy to some other countries.
There are strategic reasons behind that. If you're using...
But Nigerians are never happy. I mean, I don't care how strategic it is. I mean, how do you sell what you don't have enough of at home?
There are all sorts of reasons around that. I wouldn't want to get into the logic behind that, because if you're doing something with a river, people are affected downstream of that river and all of that, you have to also...
Then you have to compensate.
You have to help out and all that. But the key thing really is that as long as we are able to integrate, as long as we are able to actually do what needs to be done at the macro level, because people say, oh, we are paying more, for example, for power. I know it was 20 naira per kilowatt hour in 2012 and 2010. 12 years ago, and it's 58 naira per kilowatt hour.
Subsidy is off for electricity now.
Yeah, but you find out that 20 naira you were paying per kilowatt hour in 2010 was actually maybe 16 cents per kilowatt hour, and the 58 naira you are paying per kilowatt hour today is actually about 10 cents. So, and the power companies, except the human beings that work there, every cost they have is in dollars. Even the gas that they use is priced in dollars and then converted into naira. So everything is in dollars. So you find out that we need to also have quite a lot of macroeconomic stability for us to be able to actually tap into and benefit from this. Because no matter what happens, it continues to be a situation where you are chasing along with the things happening in the macroeconomy.
So everything ties to the value of naira, the productivity, just as we saw in that report, the productivity of the economy. And then, of course, the value of naira will also affect every other thing that we can't seem to run away.
But there are other things we can also do. We can also do, for example, work towards domesticating as much of that value chain in country as is possible. For example, no need to brag, what we do, what we at Allon do, we are investors in a company called Oxano, which basically is the premier assembler of battery of panels in Nigeria. So basically you are domesticating, so effectively your panels are 10, 15, 12% cheaper.
But how much confidence do we have in local production? That's another thing. If you want to talk of batteries, I mean, for a lot of people who do solar and all, you want to talk of battery. There's so many fake batteries out there that you buy. It doesn't last for a month or so. You know, so when you now tell somebody, oh, come and do the locally made batteries or panels, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done to win back confidence of Nigerians.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's got to be a journey. Toyota was, I was young enough to know that Toyota wasn't a great brand in the 70s. You get me? Hyundai wasn't a great brand in the 90s. I think all of us are old enough to know. We know where Hyundai is today. They are competing almost neck and neck with the great companies. So you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. You have to buy local. And we also have to ensure that our regulatory bodies are doing their jobs. Like the biggest challenge anywhere in this country is that the rules of the road are not being enforced. You need to ensure that, and for example, there was an announcement a few weeks ago that the SON recently announced that they have a new center for them to check and ensure that the standards of panels and batteries that are bought in country are worked. That is a step in the right right direction.
A lot of people have been putting knocks on Standards Organization. I think I'll just use the opportunity to say Standards Organization of Nigeria. We do need to speak to you here on Business Morning, because when we talk about commodities, we talk about exports. We even talk about local consumption and building the confidence of Nigerians. It all ties back to the regulator, and the major regulator we do have NDLEA and all that. But when we talk about things like that, we're talking to Standards Organization of Nigeria. So Standards Organization of Nigeria, we do need you to come on Business Morning to tell us some of the new policies that you have and how you're winning the confidence of Nigerians, you know, to patronize and consume locally made products and commodities. We'd like to host you very soon on the program. You know, so apart from this, we do have some private sectors who try to make it easy on Nigerians. So you say, they say they will install for you, you pay 50%, and then you spread the rest over. Is that helping? Because even with that, some of the costs there are really high. They're really high. Yeah,
the challenge, for example, I had solar in my house about a year and a half ago, because it was clear that you can't be in this space and not have
an alternative.
And my cost has gone down significantly, but the challenge always remains the change costs, because however good a product is, if you don't have the funds to tap into it, it's just good. You can't enjoy it. So what needs to be done is for the financial institutions, quite a few of them, I think Sterling Bank, a few other FCMG, a few other banks are doing good work in this regard. We have quite a few DFIs. BOI has also done quite a bit of work, but we need to have, as much as possible, an integrated approach towards ensuring that the middle class, lower middle class, begin to have access to these products, because it's clear that if we continue to wait for the grid, 3.5 gigawatts is what we presume. There are some mid-sized cities which like 1 million people, which consume much more than what 200 million of us are sharing in this country. So there's a long way to go.
Yeah, but I mean, that long way seems really long, because even when you have the solar, it cannot power some things. I mean, if you really need to get solar, for instance, that will take care of your freezer, take care of your microwave, those heavy equipment in the house, then, I mean, you really have to look very far. You have to spend a lot of money.
Yes, you will have to spend some money, and I believe that there's also spaces where technology is also catching up. You have, so for example, inverter ACs, which are available now, which are also cost competitive. You have even ovens, even microwave ovens, which can work with it. So the key thing really is the changeover cost, getting that on. So if you can have people, and that's what happens in many other parts of the world, where you have, but when it's easy for you, buy a car, pay over 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In Nigeria, you do everything at once for yourself. You buy a car, take your money to beggar or whatever, and buy that car. There's no buy now, pay later culture.
Then we'll go to the conversation of data and credibility.
And all of that.
And measuring credit and all that. But how much of this can manufacturers really need high power? How much of these can they use? How much power from solar, from the wind, can they use on their machineries for production and all?
I think a better way to approach it would be to look at what can be done for the middle class, for small businesses, for homes.
Before we go
If you can take those people off the grid, if you can push them onto this technology such that within a year and a half, this equipment pay for themselves, and you're using free power, more or less. You're not paying 5K or 10K a month or whatever it is you're paying. And then you'll then find out that it's going to be a lot easier for the industries which need this heavy equipment to then be on stream. Of course, you can also have a situation where you can also integrate renewable energy into your national power infrastructure, such that you now have 2%, 3%, 5% of your grid power being supplied via this means. So there are various ways of going about it.
All right. Okay, well, we do hope to take this conversation further to another level and not just talk about potentials, but actually the actualization of some of this potential. Thank you so much, Afolabi Akinrogunde, Investment Manager at All On. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Sure.